Welcome back to the Domain Academy podcast. Today we're going to be joined by Mike Cyger and Piyush Patel, and we're going to delve into strategy. Just a quick recap. The strategy involves the contest that we're involved in for season 2, which is everybody starts with $500 and we see who can make the most money by the end of the year. We're going to follow along with everybody's victories and mistakes and see what we can learn from both sides of those things. So I want to start off, with you, Mike. What names did you pick up since we talked last? I know people can follow along on the spreadsheet that we have in the description, but I'd like to know like what names you picked
Yep.
up and why did you pick them?
I can't remember exactly which I should have looked at this. I apologize. I can't remember which I picked up after the last time, but I'll just run through it because it's not that many. I only had 7 domain names. My first one was freshparenting.com,
Mhm.
recapreel.com. Then I picked up admissionboost.com, openoutbound.com, turbobicycles.com, superscorecard.com. And then I hand registered. Those were all closeouts at GoDaddy, all $5 except for Super Scorecard, which was $11. And then VegasBankruptcyLawyers.com on counsel with my good friend Bruce Brieger, who recommended that I try some outbound with that domain name. And I got to double down on doing more outbound on that one. But those are the ones that I've picked up so far.
That's a pretty impressive, hand registration name that you got. So,
Well, I don't know. Yes and no. It's 3 words. It's kind of long. The 3 other variations of it, Vegas bankruptcy attorney,
mhm.
Vegas bankruptcy attorneys,
Mhm.
and Vegas bankruptcy lawyer.com are all taken by the same investor. So those are all locked up
Mhm.
um, under a contact us to get a price, which nobody likes to do,
Right.
lander. And so I was hoping that maybe this one might appeal to somebody, especially if they've looked at some of those other ones that are probably priced retail.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to cut a very good deal to lock in my lead in this competition.
Yeah, that's why I think it would be good. I was thinking, you could probably get that out there and make a pretty decent profit at wholesale and get that sold. So that's a good one to do outbound on, I think, for a
Yeah.
hand.
Yeah, when I say outbound, it wouldn't be a wholesale, it would be a low retail,
Yep,
right?
I
So
get it.
if most people are thinking a retail sale should be around $2,000 to $4,000, I would price it somewhere between $500 to $1,000. I believe that I have it on a buy it now page for 995.
Hmm.
So it's low retail
Yep.
where a wholesale would be like, $50 if I wanted to
Right.
flip it to you or Piyush,
Yeah.
if you were even interested in it. So that's sort of where my head is regarding that one.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good pickup. I saw you made a few sales. You want to talk us through that? So far, you're
I
in the lead
did.
of the contest, so congratulations.
Thank you very much. It first to draw blood and take the leaderboard, which I'm excited about. Although there's a couple of people that are here are chasing me down, so fingers crossed that I can get some more sales and cement my lead here. As I was thinking about heading into this podcast interview, I think what have we been in this competition for a month and a half?
Yeah, a month and a half.
Month and a half. And so, our job is to show investors what we would do if we were starting out in the industry today with a limited budget, $500. And I believe the thing to do is find really good domain names that you don't want to wait a year to 10 years to sell for $2,000 to $5,000. You want to, find domains that are worth that today, but then wholesale them for $100 so
Mhm.
that an investor like us would say, I don't have to do the work. I don't have to fight for an auction. I don't have to be busy for a closeout,
Yep.
worry about being busy for a closeout and not get it at $11 or $5. I want somebody else to do all the work. Serve me a good list of domain names, and I'd gladly, pay you $100 for that.
Yeah.
They wouldn't pay $1,000. That's too much. They
Mhm.
wouldn't pay $500. That's too much. $100, $50 to $100 is a good range, I think that people would invest, maybe even up to 125, somewhere in there.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I think that my So the sale happened. I took all of the domains, 6 of them that I have that I'm not outbounding, and I decided to try Name Pros. They have a fixed price area, which everybody likes.
Uh-huh.
And if you go through that fixed price area, you'll find a lot of domains that don't really make a lot of sense that are
Yep.
priced way too high.
Yep.
So when you come in with great two-word.coms in niches that have, opportunities like admissions for colleges, outbound selling, turbo, bicycles for e-bikes and stuff, and scorecards, which is a great B2B word. If you ever do a search on scorecard on Google, you'll see tons of companies using scorecards for everything. And so I listed them for all $100 each. As you can see from, maybe we can link to my original tweet on this. The
Mhm.
first 2 that I bought didn't sell. Fresh Parenting and Recap Reel didn't sell. I think they're decent names,
Yeah.
but I don't think they're as strong as the 4 that did sell: the
Mhm.
Admission Boost, Open Outbound, Turbo Bicycles, and Super Scorecard. Um, and so I think that investors picked the right 4 domain names for the best ROI.
Mhm.
I do think that those 2 can sell,
Mhm.
um, and are good opportunities as well. But I could see why people didn't pick them up. And so yeah, I had them priced retail on Afternic. I promoted it on Name Pros. I then cross promoted that Name Pros list with a screenshot onto X,
Uh-huh.
where I have a larger distribution. I have somebody pointed out that I haven't posted on Name Pros since 2021. I think I have never signed on to there, but I thought I'd try it, and I think I can attribute 2 of the sales to Name Pros and 2 of the sales to X
Mhm.
distribution.
Okay.
X is so ephemeral. You post something like 3/4 of your audience, maybe even 90% of your people that follow you don't see it because it just wishes by. And so it's really just a luck of the draw.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I went to Afternic when somebody says, I'll take that one, created a checkout link for $100, emailed or DM'd them the link. When they paid, I saw it go on hold on Afternic.
Mhm.
It got, taken from my account in GoDaddy. Afternic sent me the email saying, enter the authorization code to approve it.
Mhm.
I entered authorization codes, and the same day they magically left my account and went to the buyer's account. The nice thing about the checkout code, I understand, is that somebody needs an account at GoDaddy
Mhm.
in order to use the checkout account.
Yeah.
When they have an account, even if it's under a 60-day lock, which all these domains are,
Right.
they can get pushed from one GoDaddy account to another.
Yeah.
So it really simplifies the process for us domain name investors on moving domains to buyers.
Yeah, that's pretty good, and I think I'm gonna get back to this. I want to go over to Piyush, but I'm gonna get back to see what you're gonna do with all the money that you made. Um,
Sure.
Piyush.
Oh, the one more thing I will point out that I realized, the checkout links are only 5%, right? We're going to
Mhm.
pay 15 to 20% or more
Yeah.
at Afternic if somebody comes through and pays retail. But for the wholesale Afternic checkout link, it's only 5%, which I was really excited about. But the thing to point out that I learned is that I probably knew at one point and forgot, is that there's a $15 minimum.
Yeah.
So on a $100 sale, I get $85
Yeah.
net proceeds, which is still pretty good. But
Yeah.
just wanted to clarify that.
It's good, but it is something you need to take into account if you're gonna be doing like wholesale flips.
Right.
So that's
Yep.
gonna cut into your margins.
Totally.
Piyush, have you picked up anything new since we spoke last? It doesn't look like it, but I don't know for sure.
No, I was the first to. It shows the naiveness, right? Mike was the last to pick up, first to sell, right? And me being naive, like within 24 hours, all the money was invested. But they were fantastic domains, so I cannot complain about them, right? I can discuss if you allow me to. The
Yeah.
first one was
Mhm.
viewmarine.com. I looked at valuation data, which GoDaddy does provide, right?
Huh?
And I looked at the domains that has been sold previously ending with marine, right? And
Mhm.
all they were sold for $2,000 to $5,000. So
Okay.
that made a perfect
Yeah.
sense to me. And then I saw one of the Japanese company using code or JP.
Mhm.
right? So it made a lot of sense for me to pick viewmarine.com for $5. And I have approached them. They have shown the interest. They have come back to me saying that, what's the price? How it's going to work? And I have sent them 24-hour checkout link.
Hmm.
They haven't yet pressed that button to buy now. It just happened today, right?
Okay.
So I priced at 2,400. Yeah, finger crossed. I priced it initially for $2,500 because that's what the suggestion was. Because all the marine related domains have been sold between $2,000 to $5,000 over the years. And GoDaddy valuation data provides the fantastic results. So if anybody are trying to buy the domain, do the research, use that valuation sheet, and it brings lots of data from name bio.
Hmm.
So you can be a lot more decisive, right?
Right.
The second one was searchessay.com. We have discussed this before. Search itself is a phenomenal word. Essay has been used by lots of international places, South Africa, Saudi Arabia. They all use this essay. San Antonio, South Australia, right? And actually, that domain, literally, I think last year I approached myself to the buyer, if I remember it right, for $6,000,
Hmm.
but no one responded and they just let it go. So I paid $40 for search essay because if you put search related domain, right? So they are SEARCH, 5 character. And I said, I thought, let me just do a little bit further research, and I extended to 7 character research, right? There's nothing available.
Yeah.
You cannot have that keyword search with which makes sense and ends up with a good domain possibility. So search essay made a lot of sense for me.
Yeah.
I've advertised for 30,000, right?
Mm.
And it's very big price ticket, but I'm also thinking I've got the guys, right? So they're going to put Saudi Arabia fully search website because that's going to be a $1 trillion economy in next 5-7 years, right? Not that we are going to wait for it because the competition rule is like to maximize as much as possible. So I might building the website has been easier now, right? It takes a week or two. You can put some content, use the AI, right? So that's my second. Kidsandcare.com, I paid $40 for it. And I looked at domain valuation data and keyword research. There's so many companies around it. Lots of companies have been used. There is a company, Kids and Care in America, using .org, but that's a charity organization. So if I
Right.
approach them, it's not going to go well. But there are lots of companies using different variation on Kids and Care. Then the fifth one was vlogged.com.
Okay.
And that is fantastic, right? Any vlogger or blogger, but there's a one G missing, right? VLOGED,
Yeah.
right? But still, there's a huge possibility on it, right? So that one I like a lot. The other one was
Hmm.
lawhelpdesk.com, right? So the reason I picked that up was because MedicareHelpDesk.com, thehelpcenter.com, gethelpdesk.com, dothehelpdesk.com, DIY help desk, anything that ends with help desk has been sold for 4,000, 4,000, 3,500, 3,500, 2,500, 2,500. These are just the 5 domain I looked at.
Uh-huh.
And then I made a call that, okay, this is a fantastic one, right? Although there are 3 keywords into it, but there's phenomenal opportunity there. So I have re-advertised back at, I think, 2,500, which is below the GoDaddy's recommendation price, $1,000 below, right? And then probably I'll try what Mike did, but I would not be that bold probably to give away 100 because they are such a nice names, right? I would be very sad for me to give away searchessay.com for $100 because I was one last year willing to pay 4,000 on it
Uh-huh.
because
Yeah,
I
but
heard
we're
some
we're
AI
trying to
idea
put
on it.
ourselves in the place of a brand new investor, Piyush. So
Mm.
are you suggesting to brand new investors that they should moonshot domains like Search SA for $30,000?
From my experience, my first ever hand registration, right? Which I
Uh,
forgot to renew, sold for 24,000 within 3 years. Right. Second one, which I picked up in 2017, was Whiskey King. I paid $40 on closeout, right? And I've sat down on that for like 3 years, and then
uh,
someone paid 10,000. So my experience on it is a bit different, right?
Mm.
A long wait, right? But it pays off, right?
yeah.
But like the name of the game right now is to maximize it. And from looking at what you have picked up, what you have done, what I have picked up, what other competitors have done, there's so much opportunity. Who gives you $50 into 500 to 1,000 within 24 hours or 48 hours? Or I have seen names goes for. There were lots of tweet that somebody picked up a name for $800, 30 days, 18,000.
Yeah, but let's put this into context.
Right.
Those are outliers,
Mhm.
not the
Yeah.
rule.
Right.
And
Correct.
the people that have those probably wasted $10,000 on other domain names that'll never sell for the one that they sold for 18,000.
Exactly.
I believe you
So
100
I don't know.
100%.
You know, it's
Yeah.
I will counterpoint your
Mhm.
point, which is 100% valid.
Mhm.
Just to put some context here for people
Yeah.
watching.
For people that are
Yeah.
new, I think that's important to know because it's not one of the things that we discussed, I think, in one of the podcasts, the last couple episodes, is that it's really hard work, right? It's not easy to find these good names and then to be able to get them sold. So it's a decent amount of research time, and there's a learning curve. So you have to find those names that are going to have value, and that's not easy. And then the trick is what Mike said, like not spending $10,000 to make one sale on a bunch of other names that won't sell. So it's really trying to make sure that the names that you pick, you're being really careful in what you're doing to get names that are going to give you. Otherwise, you're spending so much money on acquisition and renewal and carrying costs and stuff that your profit margin is extremely thin, if at all. So it's not, there are examples every day that we see of people doing that, but they are outliers. So I think
Yeah.
we're trying to teach people that are new, um, and the other thing too, I think that is artificial for this contest, is the year time constraint, right? Of who can make the most in a year.
That's right.
That does change your perspective on how you're going to price things. So I'm glad you talked about your pricing strategy because that's one of the things that I wanted to ask, and I want to bring that back to Mike because he made a few sales already. So now he has more money than anyone, right? And I want to know is that going to impact your pricing strategy on the other names that you have? Maybe you're going to raise those and try and sell those names, to end users, or are you going to rinse and repeat, or are you going to try and take that big chunk and buy one name? Like what's your plan and what's your pricing strategy? So acquisition and pricing going forward.
Yeah. I've given this a lot of thought. I think we're all, the beautiful thing about having six of us investors buying our own domain names is that we all come at life with different experience, investing with different experiences, different, um, you know, context around us, and we all look at the domains slightly different. I may look at one slightly better. Piyush may think it's not as good, what have you. And that's fine. That's what differentiates us. Any one of us can get lucky in a year, right? Piyush may sell searchsa.com for $30,000
Mhm.
and blow all of us out of the water.
Mhm.
It's a little bit of luck, right? Everybody with a portfolio, 1,000 domains, 10,000 domains,
Mhm.
nobody can say they know which domain is going to sell next.
Mhm.
It's, we all wake up in the morning hoping that we're going to get that afternic sales notification that makes our day, makes our week. But most of us wake up without anything in our inbox. And so for this competition, I felt like I needed to reproduce what some of the successful investors today did 7 or 10 years ago. And
Mhm.
the one that comes to mind is Josh Reason, who, is a relatively newer investor, but one of the more successful investors in the market today. And Josh started by hunting domains and flipping them to other investors. And he
Mhm.
just did that over and over again, made a little bit of money every single time. Over time, he moved from hand registrations that he sold for wholesale, like $100, and I don't know if he did that exactly. I'm just using that as an example, to buying domains for $1,000 that he then flipped for $1,500 or $2,000, and then moved his way up.
Mhm.
I am going to, after having thought about this for a while, I am going to try and do that as well. So I had $500 to start. I bought $120.80 worth of domain names.
Mhm.
I sold four of them at $100 minus the $15 commission on each of those is 4 times 85. So right now I have $719.20 cash reserves to go buy more domain names. I've started to a new expired domain names, expireddomains.net filter on single words and alternate TLDs.
Okay.
And if I can find a great .io, .ai, which would never happen, .co, that is a single word that somehow got by everybody else, and I can buy it through GoDaddy, and flip that to another investor for a larger profit. Maybe I pay $100 or $200 for it, which I never would have done at the beginning of this competition. But now with a little bit more padding, I can spend maybe $200 and flip it for $300 or $400. That would be the way I want to try and go. So until I can find something like that, I'm going to continue with the daily searches of 2 words, .coms, up to 15 characters, using all the keywords that Afternic and Cedo and we used to teach at DN Academy that are in the course there. Just searching for those on a daily basis. And I'll tell you, every single day I search, every single day I don't find anything. I maybe find one good word, one good domain name once a week.
Yep.
According to my standards, the domains that I want to buy. So, that's sort of what was my game plan to start with, what it is currently, and where I'm hoping to go in the future to try and be successful in this competition.
Okay. Any domain ending with AI.com?
I would consider those. I don't believe that's part of my filter right now, but I would, because I think that I think companies prefer singleword.ai right now. But if I could find a great single word AI.com, that would be a defensive registration for many different companies that are going after that keyword, I would. Just like I would get. I think James Isles picked up a try keyword, brandable keyword. I like those. I think they're good. And so I look at the keyword AI.com as very similar to those.
So just give you an example, one of the part of our game is aislang.com. Picked up for $5. So there are 121 TLDs registered for the same slang keyword and 9,837 SLDs containing slang, right? So aislang.com was available for $5. Right?
Yeah.
So that was a good pick. There was another one I picked up, Seca, SECA.ai.com. Again, there are so many companies using SECA. So there are 5,376 SLD containing Seca word. Right?
Yeah,
So
that would be one that I wouldn't even think about. It makes sense since it's 4 characters.
yeah.
Yeah, if I go to LinkedIn and search SECA under companies, I can see 600 results, but
how many would be with AI relevant?
Right. And that's their main keyword. So sometimes it's Seca something. They might not want to shorten it to Seca AI, as you're saying. One of them is like Folha Seca, FOLHA SECA, has 2 separate words. I'm not sure it's even applicable because they might go by Folha. So when you do the company search, you just need to see the number that you see at the top is great, but you sort of want to give it a common sense test as well. How many of those are exact matches that might match Seca, and then how many of them are AI, to your point, that might want to buy this as either a better domain name or a defensive registration.
Yeah, fantastic. Like, it's hard work deciding what to buy, what not to buy, right? It's hard work deciding what price to sell. And like you said, if you pick up one domain in a week, and that's a good job. I pick up 2, 3, 4, 5. Me being naive, right? I mean, this is what differentiates. Like you said, like we all come from different background, different experiences, right? And there are outliers. I've had few, but this is not easy, but this is one of the best game, and I love it. Every name brings the possibility, right? Every name brings the idea. Every name brings the inspiration, and every name brings the entrepreneurial spirit. If it makes sense to you, that's emotional attachment. But if it makes sense to the market, that's the real flip, right? So I love this game.
Yeah. And it's a domain that you picked up like lawhelpdesk.com. Yeah, people may say, oh, it's 3 words. I don't go for 3 words. But they're all 1 syllable. They're all 4 characters or less. And to your point, like, people like help desks. They want a personalized AI type experience that's focused on law, that's trained on law. That could be a great lead gen site. It could be a great site to display advertising on, to sell services I'll give you this contract if you want an actual lawyer to review it and certify it, pay $19, $199, whatever. So yeah, I never would find that because I only search on 2 words. And so, yeah, we're all coming at it from different angles, and it is fun to be challenged and think about the way that you're doing it, and maybe I should be doing it slightly differently as well.
I bring another perspective, right? What works in United States may not work in United Kingdom. So my view would be different. If I'm traveling a lot to the United States, I would pick up different vibe to it, right? What works in United States, what words are being used over here would be mate, over there would be buddy, somewhere would be pal, right? It would be I don't see much of the domain. Every time I walk past of the lorries or vans or shops, and first thing I see is notice the domains, right? It has become the habit now because we are part of it. So every culture present different opportunities.
Yeah.
Every country present different opportunity because they come from different backgrounds. Although large majority of the countries, all the domain names are English speaking, but still there is a variation to it, right? And I'll give you an example: Courtier or Savior. Nobody Savior.ai, for example, right? It has got UK has America doesn't, right?
Yeah.
So so everything changes with it, right? So there are lots of different possibility to it. So if you know the culture, right, to the different across the pond would be different, over here would be different, in Asia would be different, and domains with numbers may not make sense to us, but in China they would go for top dollars, right? So
Yeah, I think that's true. And when I saw your name, Seca.ai, I can speak Spanish pretty good. And the first thing that popped in my head was Spanish. It means dry. So dry AI. And I thought that's probably a good brandable, that they might use and there's a lot of Spanish speaking countries around the world. So Seca AI might be a good name for one of the startups there. Um, so I think that's cool. Everybody comes at things, like you said, different ways, different languages. I know I sometimes pick up Italian names or Spanish names, and I've been able to sell those that other investors, look past because they don't
hmm
understand what the word means.
Yeah, and most of my filters
Mhm.
only specify English because I don't understand Spanish. So why am I going to look at words that I think Google Translate means one thing, but it actually means something else? And yeah, so it's a great advantage that you have that you're bringing to the table.
Yeah, and to plug Afternic, I get in on the fast transfer network, and I've sold those names at places. I'll look where they go, and they're like registered at IT, so I know that they're going to, local language registrars. That's where people
Mhm.
are finding it, so it helps. Um, Speaking of finding, how are you finding the names that you're picking up? I know you said you have a lot of filters. It sounds to me like you're using expireddomains.net, which we've discussed. Is that the only place that you're looking, or do you have other tools that you're using to try and find the names?
so I do use expireddomains.net. That's
Hmm.
fantastic too. But because the GoDaddy's UI has been transformed recently, right, over the last 6 8 months, it does pretty much what expireddomains.net do, right?
Hmm.
And also there is another facility over there where you can download all of the domains, at least 10,000 domains you can download in Excel file. So it makes my life easier. I don't have to go through a ton of it, right? So I download the data, they put it back into the AI, and then I would ask it to pick top 20 every time. I would put 500 every time. So I can filter through 10,000 domains probably in half an hour. Looking and reading would take a very long time. So a lot of the time I do that. So I've been sticking to expired domains more. GoDaddy's expired domain, I pick up more names there than expired domains because the UI over there is a little bit, too much crunched up. So I find it a little bit hard over there right now.
So Piyush, you've spent all your money.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, have you shifted for this competition to do some outbound? Are you thinking about doing some wholesaling? You can't buy anymore until you sell some of these. What's your
100%.
game
So
plan?
so my first 2 months was like stick to the outbound, which I have done. See
Uh-huh.
if I can pick up the top dollar. Uh, if not, then I have just learned that the best way to do it, what Mike did, right? So I would probably do what you did, right? But I would wait for a few more months and see if that happens or not. So my window would be 3 months.
Mhm.
After 3 months, if it doesn't pick up, another 3 months would be different ball game.
patience pays off. And so
Yeah.
you could wait until month 11, get one of these sales and take the lead in the competition.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no reason that couldn't happen.
100%.
So yeah, there's different strokes. I'm not saying one way is better than the other, just wondering what you were thinking.
Yeah, I'm just emotional fool as well. I love those names, right?
Mhm.
And I find it very hard to let it go at cheap price, like what you did. I really do, because replacing is much more harder and much more challenging. You
The
know,
thing is, I'm sure everybody in the competition feels this way, feels that their domain names are better than everybody else's.
100%. Yeah,
And
this was something Joe told me a few months ago, that never be
yeah,
emotional in this game, right? Don't
totally.
get attached to it.
Mhm.
And the first time yesterday or 2 days ago, when the first domain sold at wholesale, I'm like, oh my God, I think I just made a mistake. Like these are way better than $100. But you don't know if you're buying good domain names unless somebody else is willing to like give you $100 for it.
Right.
And so I am really trying to like fight the urge and do some outbound, which I consider posting to name pros, posting on X, which is something that I never do for my domain names, and trying something new as well as doing outbound um, and I never play at this size of the market, never doing outbound, and so I'm trying some different things. Yesterday, I saw a domain name on expireddomains.net that I thought was a great domain. I think it was 10characters.com, but in a trade that I wasn't sure they get a ton of online business.
Mhm.
So I did a search on Google and didn't buy the domain, did a search on Google, found a couple companies that had longer domain names, and I just called them up. And because it's like a trade business, I know the owner's going to pick up. And I just said, hey, would you be interested in buying this domain, which is a better domain than yours? No price, no nothing. And both of them were like, no, not interested. I like my own domain name. I'm like, wow.
Mhm.
Which is just staggering to people like us. We're like, why wouldn't you want to shorten your domain name? Make sure you get a better domain name. But, so I'm going to continue to think about branding and domain names and which domains would be better in the market just by trying to immerse myself in it and challenge myself. And, you know, um, it's tough, like you're saying. It's
Mhm.
really tough.
It is, yeah. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that everybody's learned, right? It's not easy to find the names, and then your pricing strategy, try and figure that out for the contest is not easy too. But because you second guess, like you said, should I have waited a couple months and sold this for more?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was so close to send an email or text to Mike saying that, look, I'll take openoutbound.com.
yeah,
And before I know, it was gone.
Yeah.
I saw
You
his
would have been the
post on
third
the X, and
person.
I thought, I would take that one,
You would have been the
because
third person to buy that one.
yeah,
Yeah.
if it was I think I tapped in, but I think there was no link or anything. So I'm thinking, he has kept it separate. And his selling strategy is different. So I was so close to saying, shall I send him that, like, just send it to
You know,
me. I'll just
and
buy it.
that was a $5 closeout. So I
Yeah.
saw that one come in at $50. I liked it. And then I put a reminder on it tells you when it's going to $40 at the
Yeah.
GoDaddy auction page. So I put in a reminder at that time when it's jumping down in price for the next 4 days. And then every single day I will click on the link, see if it's still available. Open Outbound was still available all the way to $5. I was, on the mark for that. Um, Sometimes they do get away. There were, let's see here. Just looking through my saved list on um on expired domains, and like I wanted amble, AMBLE, like to amble is to slowly walk through places.
yeah.
Lots of apps out there related to that keyword. Not a great domain name, but a good domain name. I think I waited till $5 and it was taken at 11. Haven't seen that one go up yet with a for sale page. I also watched libertyhome.com, which just a real estate one. And if I type that one in, It goes to a for sale page of $29,000 today. So I let that one go. I don't think, I can't remember. But you know, the fact that they're selling to other investors makes me feel good,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll leave it at that. Good for them.
I'll give you one example, right? I think a week or two ago, I was waiting for style.agency, right? I know it's not .com, not that, but style.agency. It makes perfect sense, right? Probably a few
Yeah,
thousand
totally.
dollar name if you wait, right? I thought, it was before it dropped from 30 to 11, it was gone. I was just 5 minutes late. I was just looking at my phone that, okay, fine, in 5 seconds it's going to drop from 30 to 11. It was gone. Somebody
Yeah,
press that button, buy it now. But style.agency, I think any day it would sell for a few $1,000s.
yeah. So
Any day.
style.agency, you'd pay, what did you lose out? $11?
$30. It
$30.
was
So it's
$30. I thought
$30
there are 10
plus a
seconds left.
$73 renewal price. So that would have been close to $100 of our budget. So for
No,
newer investors,
I think it was not. I think if it was re-registered, I think it was the dot agency cost probably $49 or something. Yeah,
this one
I
might be
think
a
so.
premium. I just went to mi.ke/renewal, which is my website that I use for checking out
Uh-huh.
renewal pricing really easily. And that's what it says. That doesn't use GoDaddy. So it might be a little cheaper at GoDaddy in the
Sure.
DDC program, or it might be more expensive.
Yeah.
But I just use that as a rough. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
think that that was a base rate if
Right.
the dot agency is $49 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, just something to keep in
Yeah.
mind for
Yeah.
newer investors out there. I do
Yeah.
like style agency. Like
Mhm.
those are a good left and right of the dot.
When you see the names disappear because somebody else picks them up, I think that's a good, validation that you're on the right path.
Yeah.
You're fighting
Yeah.
with people. So I think that's a good tip for newer investors. Don't get discouraged if you see the names that you're watching get picked up. That's a good thing. They're not all going to make it to the $5 day.
Yeah.
And I think, Piyush, if you get that sale, I don't want to mention or jinx it, but if you get the sale that you're working on, or you get one of these bigger sales, then I think maybe your strategy can change. And one of the things that we really haven't discussed much because it's kind of early in the contest is the Afternic Advanced Search tool. So Andrew brought that up as, outside the contest, he found a oneword.org, I think, and I don't remember, so you're gonna have to watch the last episode. But he bought it for $300. I remember that, and he bought it and he sold it for thousands. But it was somewhere, with a giant ROI. So
Hmm.
when you mentioned, looking for one words, I was thinking the Afternic Advanced Search tool might make sense once you have more money.
Totally. And yesterday I just started one word searches in alternate TLDs on expireddomains.net.
Mm-hmm.
But in parallel, I'm going to start using the Afternic Advanced Search for anything under $500 that's, uses some of the predefined searches that are built into the Afternic Advanced Search that I know people like animals or
Mm-hmm.
colors or things like that. Um, and then I'm also going to try DNX.com, Josh Reason's new
Yeah.
platform, which also searches against Afternic
Mm-hmm.
and might give me,
Yeah.
some different filter criteria that I can try. So,
Yeah.
as I move, hopefully I'll get a few more of these small base hits. And as I move to try and find something a little bit better, um, for a little bit more money that I can flip for a slightly larger ROI, to a wholesale investor, I will be using those tools as well.
So before we wrap it up, is there any final thoughts that you have?
Outbounding is hard.
Mhm.
That is my that is my takeaway every single day. It was very fulfilling to and nerve-wracking to put my domain names up for sale in such a public way. But the
Mhm.
fact that I got sales, and I tell you, $100 sale feels the exact same dopamine as $1,000 sale or a $10,000 sale. Maybe not $1 million sale, don't get me wrong, but it's the same sort of dopamine hit, and it makes you feel great.
Mhm.
Um, and so I've never played at this level. I'm excited to continue to try and do it for this competition. Um, and yeah, hunting those domains is hard work and doing the outbound is hard work. So, but like everything else, it's a muscle that gets better and stronger the more you do it. So I'm going to keep plugging away.
Yeah, I agree with Mike. Outbounding is really hard. After exchanging 10, 15 emails, and you don't see that process from them, they haven't pressed that button. You feel a little bit disappointed, but then you look for the next one, then you look for the third person, fourth person. So I think buying is way more easier.
Hmm.
Buying domain, and every time you buy the domain, it feels like you hit the lottery. And I just said that to someone that I have felt that for 1,000 times. Right?
So
Every
you're getting
time I
your
buy,
dopamine hit just buying, not even selling.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So selling is hard. 99% work has to be done in selling. It just takes 1% work buying, right?
Yeah, it's fun, but it's a lot of work, and it's data centric. We talked a lot
Yeah,
about what kind of data we look at to make it so it's not just a gut feeling. And I'm going to leave everybody with that.
yeah.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to root for your favorite contestant and like and subscribe, and join us for the next episode.